There was a period of time where Swordcraft was all about that rush. Talk to me about the differences between Rush and Storm and what happens when you evolve a card. ISFI, if you could help the newer viewers kind of make the difference.
Alright, so whenever you evolve a card, your card automatically gains Rush. That's just a game mechanic. So it doesn't matter what card you evolve, it always gets Rush. Unless for some reason it has a don't attack clause or can't attack clause, such as Eidolon of Madness. Otherwise, cards like Blitzlancer, cards like Geno, these cards they have Rush inherently, and the benefit to these cards is that they don't require evolution points. So because they don't require evolution points, you get to save those Evo points for later in the game when you need them, or you can use them to push additional damage with other followers you may have in play, but you can use them on you don't have to use them on clearing boards. So it's Rush on a card is incredibly powerful, as we've seen in games previous to now with cards, Rush and all that.
And Storm just means they can go face, as opposed to just having Rush where they can only attack other followers. So Storm is just that extra push, which is a very powerful effect to be able to go face the turn you play a card.
Yep. All right,
and
so
I'm actually super excited about this Shadow deck. This is a 2 seasons ago Shadow deck that I used to play, running Impious Resurrection, with its value cards early in the game and Nephthys as a late game. So, and I would say that Nephthys, again, another deck, as we've seen today, be the kind of the talk of the tournament with a good matchup against Dragon.
Oh yeah, definitely. Nephthys comes down. When it comes down, for those who don't know, it summons up to 4 things of different costs in your deck. So the decks are generally configured to guarantee get Underworld Watchman Kawi or Mordecai the Duelist. So Dragon, without running dedicated Banish, has an incredibly difficult time dealing with those cards.
And that's kind of the problem Dragon's in right now. Does it run the Odins, which removes a card from the game? Does it run, anti-aggro cards for the aggro? I think that's why Dragon's kind of in flux right now, is because it doesn't know what it needs to be playing yet, because the format's so varied. And as we've seen every single matchup, I think so far today, that Dragon has not been... I think Dragon did win 1 game, actually. But other than that 1 game, it's basically been paired against just a bad matchup. Not the fact that it's a bad deck, just that its matchups aren't very good right now.
Right. So he opts to play the Bahamut. He wants to threaten right away. He's like, look, I don't care if you have a board. I'm playing this Bahamut. I mean, it is a 13-13. It's incredibly imposing. So this makes all the sense in the world, but his opponent plays a Death's Breath to put up some wards, and he's actually going to be able to clear this board using the Goblin Breaker Tina and the Breath of the Solomon. Oh, wait, no, he can't clear the board. Never mind. He can, because the zombies are not neutral. So he can't actually clear the board using that, but he can clear at least 2 zombies and then use the Bahamut to take out the 3rd.
Well, he can. The Breath of the Salamander will put all of the zombies' defenses to 1, so Tina can clear.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I was thinking in the reverse order.
Non-enhanced,
Yeah, I was thinking in the reverse order. My bad. I apologize.
All
Okay,
good.
so... All right, so he's definitely going to get in for a very large amount of damage. The only problem is the damage is going to be completely negated by the Nephthys that's about to get played.
Yep.
Because
and this
it's gonna
right here is the play. Yep.
Yeah. This is what...
Not only does it reset the life that Bahamut just did, it also presents an endgame with Mordecai. And Mordecai is basically unkillable without Banish, so...
Yeah. This is just... And he not only that, but he got a 4/4 Lich. He's just staring down the barrel of a gun right now. This is looking real bad.
And we're going to see a second Mordecai hit the field next turn, and I think the game is just going to slip away from Akamarured. I don't really know how Dragon can come back from double Mordecai boards.
Right.
Especially not without running Odins.
Definitely.
So here we're going to see the game potentially go for another 5 to 10 turns, but I don't think that Akamarured is going to have any way to actually come back. These Mordekais can literally just trade board for forever while chipping away little bit by little bit, but eventually they're just going to end the game.
Yep. So that poor Sahakuel doing 0.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for those who don't know, whenever Mordecai dies, it just summons another copy of itself. So that's why you need to banish it. And unfortunately, if Akamarured does indeed have banish, he hasn't drawn it. So yeah, this game is looking pretty over right now. And not to mention that Akai can build even more of a board using that the Impious Resurrection. So yeah,
even the Pact of the Nether God can come down on the Sahakuel to present another big threat while also dealing with the board. This is kind of why we say this is a bad matchup. Like, the Nephthys completely erases any Bahamut plays, and then Mordekais are just this end game that Dragon just can't really deal with.
Right. So the Necro Assassin, the damaged Mordecai, it's going to come back. It's going to be nice and healthy. And he's going to hit face for... He could hit face for potentially 7, but he opts not to.
It's more card draw.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I mean... Yeah, you can't get more over... the game can't be more over than just being dead. So, like, unfortunately, there's nothing he can play here that's going to pull him out of this fire.
No, even the Sahai into Isra play isn't really going to be good enough to do anything. Searching for whatever he can. Going to 13, not good enough. Oh. And it seemed like, you know, from an unassuming player's perspective, that Bahamut play super early is just like, holy crap, how does he lose from this point? It's because of Kawi. Kawi by itself just erases Bahamut, erases all the damage he can deal, as we saw, and it just basically makes the Dragon deck null and void for a while.
Yep. I've never seen that. That's hilarious.
The BM Pact of the Nether God. Let's go.
Yeah.
I actually thought, and without that heal, it was going to be our first time ever that we would have seen a Bellringer Angel killing blow. It nearly happened, man. He was able to swing with the 5, swing with the 3, leave him at 2, and then evolve the Angel and go for the killing blow. I would have lost my jam. I would have gone crazy. I was waiting for that Bellringer. But he had to heal 3, and there was mathematically no way to divide up the damage to do it. But, my God, what a game. So, Nephthys Shadow, and again, we were talking about how Shadow has kind of evolved and changed, and I think Nephthys Shadow was always strong, but in the context of Tempest of the Gods, everybody was just preferring mid-range Shadow for just the strength that you arrived at. It's kind of similar to when we think of Spawn of the Abyss and kind of how it kind of pushed away Karabos, right? In many ways. The advantages of Nephthys Shadow for players who are not as familiar with the deck, Exodium, could you summarize kind of what the deck is all about here?
Sure. So Nephthys, just straight A to Z, is you play 4 different costs of cards in your deck, whether it be 2, 3, 7, 8, or 2, 4, 7, 8, 4, 5, 7, 8. As you can tell from my numbers, 7 and 8 doesn't change because Mordecai and Kawi are the end game, and then the early game really just changes depending on how you want the early game to play out. And it's very strong against late game decks such as Aegis Haven and Dragon Ramp and all of those things, but it can suffer against aggro because it's missing a lot in the curve, right? It doesn't have every option available to it, so it can be a little clunky. So, very interesting choice for a tournament. So, Aya, tell us about these hands in this matchup real quick.
Yeah, so, right now in this matchup, generally, Haven would be what I would say advantaged in this matchup, just due to the sheer amount of Storm and pressing it to advantage through that and just making very difficult boards for Dragon to be able to deal with. But right now, he's not necessarily sitting on, or rather, Akai is not necessarily, sitting on like a ton of threats. He does have the Birdsong in play. He does have the Priest of the Cudgel that just came down. So, I mean, there's that. But I mean, Akamarured he has plenty of answers here.
Yes, he does. And we did say it before that the Tempo Haven deck is favored against Dragon in most scenarios just because it has this unmitigated damage it can deal to face, has a really good aggressive draw, but as we can see, the draw that Akai has, not so aggressive.
Right.
Is going to have to deal his damage later when Dragon can start dealing with it.
Yeah. So Saha Quail is going to come down. Israfil is going to then, of course, follow. Then Israfil is going to attack, do 2 damage to both of them, and then kill the bird. And then the Israfil is just going to go right back to hand. So he just saved himself a ton of damage by being able to do that. He also saved himself an evil point, and he presents a board with pretty formidable followers.
And I believe my prediction was correct in the fact that Dragon is the big swing deck on Akamarured's side. I think that Dragon against every deck, again, except for the one game that Dragon won, has just been in an unfavorable position against all these decks. Like, he bans Shadow because Shadow's the most consistent of them, but then has to play against these other 2 decks that are just really good against Dragon also. So
right.
Really tough for Akuma here.
So at the very least, he can play that, and he does have 2 Israfils, so it's not like he's not necessarily out of the race. Like, these 2 Israfils could definitely keep him in it. Akai doesn't necessarily even have an answer in hand for those Israfils.
Yeah,
so
these Dark Johns not showing up to the right party here.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. So we're definitely going to see the Israfil get played. Israfil more than likely will evolve and just clean this board up. Oh, and a Lucifer. Well, never mind. He's just going to evolve the Lucifer, and that's game.
That's game. Lucifer, very healy on the front end, very kill your opponent on the back end.
Yeah. So, just for people who don't know, Lucifer is my pet card. So,
Highest favorite card of all time.
Your pet card taking the win, of course. Now, Lucifer is a card where when you play him, he's just a well-statted card, and at the end of every turn, he will heal you for 4 health. But if you evolve him, then he does 4 damage to your opponent's face at the end of every turn. And so that gave him the extra reach he needed to close the game out. It's very interesting. I think Lucifer, kind of maybe talk us through why Lucifer has kind of come back into Dragoncraft decks and why he left in the first place, ISFI.
Well, simple answer to that is Ouroboros. Like, Lucifer, even before the Ouroboros change, was making its way back into Dragon decks because Lucifer was very good at bringing Dragon again, back into matchups against the neutral decks. Well, now since we know that neutral is not really as much of a thing and that the change to Ouroboros took place, people are more opting to fill that 8 slot with either Odin or Lucifers, maybe a little combination of both. But they're opting to do that because they don't get the heal from Ouroboros anymore.
And because they have more slots left in their deck, because you probably don't want to be playing 3 or even 2 Ouroboros anymore. Maybe 1 for, the mirror matchup or something like that.
Right.
So for this game, Akamarured has an okay curve, not the best type of curve you'd like to see, and is playing Usher of Sticks, which we've seen in, like, it's kind of like coming into play now. It's like 50-50 with Shadow players if they like playing that card, just for extra value to get maybe more Ektars in the mirror matchup or something like that. How do you feel about that card, Aya?
Well, I'm actually really glad to see that card, and it's more of a late game card than an early game card, but of course you can play it early game to just develop some tempo. So I'm actually kind of glad to see that card. It's one of those cards that initially everyone kind of wrote off and was just like, nah, it's not going to really play that. But there are many games I've seen that card come into play, and actually be effective. Like, getting another Ektar when you're sitting on a ton of shadows is not bad.
Right, so it's a card, for those of you who don't know, it's just a 2-play point 2/2, but it has Necromancy 6. And when it uses its Necromancy, you put the highest cost follower back into your hand that died this turn. I think it's Necromancy 6. It might be Necromancy 4, but it's pretty high cost.
It's 6.
Yeah.
So right now, Akai has a pretty stacked hand against Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the March Hairs for next turn. He's got the Garuda for the following turn. Like, this is really good for him. And he's sitting on 2 Evo points remaining. So
He's also sitting on Dance of Death to deal with any big minion that happens to stay in play. He's got a, he's got the Regal Falcon popping out of the Divine Birdsong next turn. Very good position.
I would be surprised if he lost this game. I would be very surprised if he lost this game. He just has way too many answers right now.
In Shadow, you actually get to see what happens when they don't draw their Demon Eaters and Soul Conversions. They actually just play a normal game plan and run out of resources, because these Necro Assassins sacking things when you're not drawing cards is actually disadvantage when it comes to card amount. So, yeah, we're just basically seeing the Shadow deck kind of brick in a sense. It's not getting its combo cards. It's just getting a very straightforward game plan, and it's going to run itself out of cards, whereas we see Akai just has infinite depth in his hand. He's got another March Hares, he's got Garuda, he's got Dance of Death, got more card draw.
He needed that.
Yes, that was an insanely good draw.
Yeah, he needed that, man. But he's still sitting, Akamarured is still sitting, you know, in a very dangerous position right now. He's only got one card in hand, and Akai basically just has all the cards, you know. So
we're going to see Garuda. T-Time probably going to get evolved into Face, and then just trading into the Necro Assassin.
So, yeah, definitely trade. And then, see, now he's, like, this is a massive swing here. And now, again, Akamarured is sitting on, you know, still sitting on 2 Evo points. And he can use his Evo point to take out the 5-3. But, I mean, with all the cards that's sitting in Akai's hand right now, this just feels painful,
It's going to be
man.
tough.
Yeah,
This game could definitely change with a drawn Ektar, though. Ektar, as we know, very swingy. And if he shows up, he could punish.
Ektar basically is a million cards in one. You know, you're like, hey, man, I really need an answer. Oh, wow, I'll answer your board and have a 5-6. Thanks.
Does 500 things.
Yep. Lots of things, yes. All right.
Okay, no Ektar yet. But this actually, I think the game, you know, that top deck Lurching Corpse a couple turns ago after the March Hares really gave Akamarured the push he needed to give himself some more turns to get back into this game. And with that Thane play into the ward here that Akai has no answer to, this board is just looking very scary now. This is like top deck anything and just push him over to win the game.
Right. So he opts to Evo the Attendant. Do you know why he would do that?
Anticipating Dark John, but again, I don't know why he would do that anyway, because popping it to put out the 4/4 is still fine. So yeah, I'm not sure why the pre-Evo there. It also doesn't give him a way to actually deal with a big minion anymore, like without that Evo point. So interesting play.
So he opts to play Moon to take out the ward. Well, obviously so he just basically wasted his Evo point by doing this line. You know, I don't know. I'm still a little, you know, perplexed about that line of play. But anyway, moving forward, Divine Birdsong into Garuda, that's a thing.
Yep, that's a great thing. That'll be able to clear up the Necro Assassin and get some damage off the board.
Yep.
It's so quiet.
And now it's all about these draws. Who draws better in the next couple turns?
Who doesn't? Oh, well. Wow.
That was a great one.
Wow.
Yeah.
This man is believing in the heart of the cards right now. He is getting all the answers.
And Cerberus feels great to top deck at any stage in the game because it's just 3 cards in one. It gives you a lot of versatility in the options you can do. It pops in a +2/+0 to a follower, pops in a deal 2 damage to any target. Just gives you a lot of flexibility just to trade the board, go face like you're seeing right here, and not get too far behind.
Yeah, man.
And
I was saying before that.
Everything.
Yeah, I was saying before that Akai had this game well in hand. Well,
later in the game, when the only things you can draw are amulets, it gets really tough. He had a dominating board position, but I think that Lurching Corpse into Necro Assassin top deck that one turn is literally what changed the entire momentum of this matchup.
Definitely. I mean, that doesn't mean that Akai can't still draw, say, another Garuda to help finish this game out. or some kind of additional burn, or if he runs that in his deck. But right now, he's just not in a great spot. I mean, you just play March Hares in the Hound, right? Or you can, I guess you could play the both Prison Princess.
You might do that just to get something else in play, but I think putting the big follower in play is paramount because you need to be able to trade with that Cerberus so you don't die.
Right. Ooh.
Doesn't do much.
He could use the Cerb to trade into the Hound and
then
then Erd it to make it healthy again?
Yep. Looking like the best play. This is really tense. This is top deck mode like crazy.
This is Nail Biter personified.
Now, Akai could make a super aggressive line here and just go face and basically have guaranteed lethal next turn. But that's super scary, right? Because another Sybil off, or not a Sybil, but another Cerberus off the top. Ektar.
Yeah. Okay, he's opting not to do that. Wise man.
Wise man.
Wise man. Wise man. Ooh, not what you want to be drawing.
Nope.
Not
But killing off the Tin Soldier means it's still not lethal. Oh, he's just giving up.
No, it is. No, it is lethal because he has 4 and then there's 5 damage from
that
Snow
is
White.
5. That is 5. You're right. That is lethal.
So definitely lethal.
Oh, man. What a game. Havencraft looked like it was ahead, then it was behind, then it was ahead. And I feel like we've seen a few games today that have been